Welcome back, SML, to the Air It Out podcast. I Got the Meats. My good friend Tiny is with me as always, and we'll try to agree less on this episode, but we'll see. This will be a good one. We have one of the, I would say, one of the most prolific beefs in the SML right now, with both parties joining us here. Tiny, what's going on with you?
Not much, man. Just got back from Nashville. Had a horrible day watching that football game. So I'm excited to see how these guys get after it here.
Yeah, so let's not drag this out any further. We are joined today with Primetime 000, the GOAT, and we got Hertzler Jr. What's going on, guys? Thanks for joining the pod.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Thanks for hosting me. It's Tiny. Should be a good one.
Yeah, so we're calling this couples counseling. You guys have been going back and forth in chat, Prime. We know your history with the Hertzlers in general. You've played against Dan in more than a couple of Super Bowls. You've gone back and forth. You've butted heads, and now his son is in the league, and you guys have been going back and forth. Now you're in the same division, and it keeps going back and forth. We get shots left and right. So we're giving you the platform now. Let's talk it out. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
How do we start this thing off? Brian,
yeah, Damon, why don't you start? You start us off? You're the young buck. Right. You're the guy who's full of rage and hate. So we'll let you start.
Okay, sure. Okay, that's how you want to spin it. I'll start it off. I'll get into some niceties first to say I respect Prime first and foremost as a commissioner.
Hey! There's no place for that on this podcast.
No, I gotta lay it off. Gotta lay it nice first. But then it kind of stops there, in my opinion. All right, so. A lot of people would say, Hertz, like what you're like 1-4 against Prime this season. You're like small dog trying to bark at the big dog. Like what's going on? Like you have no grounds to even have this kind of beef. And I'll say, that's not what this is at all. This is a dog minding his business, and some weirdo dog who's always coughing, always sick all the time comes around into the backyard and he's scratching against the fence, trying to get in, trying to see what's going on. I call my games Prime's favorite show because consistently in the fourth quarter, I'm going to get a notification on Twitch. You better win this game, Hertz. Prime's here, blah, 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 something. So that's my piece. That's my opening piece. I'm just a normal dog in his backyard chilling.
All right, Prime.
Here comes Prime scratching on the fence.
Let's hear from you.
He might be a normal dog, but he's got a bad owner. His owner Dan walks up and pups him up like he's the best dog in the show, saying how good he is, how he's gonna walk into my division and beat me on the SML Draft Live, saying he's gonna own the division. And then the little dog that we're gonna call him, he doesn't say, "Hey, sorry guys, my owner, he's off. He's been drinking. He's crazy." He goes with it. He goes with the flow. He doesn't say, "Hey, Prime," and private, "Hey, sorry about my dad. He's crazy. I don't want to be a part of this." He kind of rides with the flow a little bit, and so I'm like, okay, if that's how it's going to go, and on top of it, there's some other history there. We play in SML last cycle, and this dog that wants to mind his own business starts returning interceptions for touchdowns as time expires to run up the score. So are you innocent? I don't know.
I mean, that's a direct retaliation to the scratching on the fence. I mean, if someone scratched on your fence enough, no matter what going on inside the house, you have to bark back a little bit. And can you blame me for doing that? I mean, you build it up behind the scenes, and when it spills over, sometimes who can you really blame in those situations?
Okay, listen, if I recall correctly, and this is not a podcast that does research, so don't even ask me to do that. If I recall correctly, Hertz, you got suspended last cycle for that kickoff return at the end of the game, right?
He didn't.
No,
he didn't get suspended. You know why?
Rules.
He broke a rule, and then I said, we're not going to suspend him.
Oh, yep, that's right. I remember that. Prime kind of...
No rules were broken.
There was a rule broke. There was time. The clock had hit 0, essentially, and he ran an interception back to run up the score. Obviously, his dad didn't feed him the rule book beforehand, but that was 100% a rule violation.
Prime wrote it down, and because it was against him, he's like, you know what? No, that's fine. I wrote it down. We're gonna remember it. That's noted, right? And now you're in the same division.
So can I interject just real quick?
Yeah.
Two things that
No.
I've noticed. First, Meats has been wrong twice now in our first 2 episodes. Second, to me, man, this feels a lot like y'all remember when LeVar Ball was going crazy about his kids coming up in the NBA. This is kind of what it feels like with Dan, right? Is Dan like feeding off his son to push him to beat you?
This is a comparison I was going to make, and you're 100% right, Tiny. I really do liken Dan to LeVar Ball, because anytime Damon does something wrong, he can't just say Damon did something wrong, and then he's putting Damon into the worst possible spots. Because I don't think, like, here's the thing about Damon doesn't talk trash a lot. Now he might do a little cheap shot, return interception, touchdown if he has the opportunity, but he's not really puffing his chest out beforehand. A lot of my beef with Damon is actually with Dan. And unfortunately, Dan puts him in a spot and Damon doesn't remove himself from that spot. If Damon could come on the show and say, hey, you know what? I'm kind of embarrassed too, but I have to go with it because he's my dad. I'll forgive him right here on the show.
That's not going to happen.
Okay.
That's
All right.
Straight up just not going to happen.
So we're setting up a future episode then with Dan, I guess.
I mean, the reality is also, while we're on the subject, my biggest issue I've had with Damon is this, and I'm going to put this here in public for the public eye. I didn't even really care about the interception, but it became public news because, again, Dan made it public. The zig routes. Damon did not like me doing zig routes in the NFC divisional round. And I watched the game back, and I threw 4 zig routes against Damon. And I DM'd him afterward. Privately, I was like, hey, man, it was something to the effect of 4, I don't think is too much, but I also had more called. I didn't throw them, but I had more called. And if I could have gone back, I would have adjusted those zigs to flat routes on my slot receiver. But I was trying not to throw swing routes to Gibbs as much. My issue is Damon, I don't think, knows what he's doing on defense at all. And he's calling cloud flat coverages, and he's calling zero blitz every time I'm inside the 10-yard line. So it's like, what do you expect me to do? And then Dan in chat yesterday against Woods, there was a bunch of seam routes and has 200 yards with his tight end. And he's like, well, Woods has got to learn how to cover the seam route. So which is it? Is it the defense's fault or not? That's my biggest issue I've ever had with Damon. And I'm just going to put it here on the show to air it out.
I didn't think we were going to talk about this, but since you bring it up, I would love to talk about it. And I'll go ahead and say, if you're saying that if I come out in man and you say, okay, if you're going to come out in man, I'm just going to call it zig every time, that's cheese. Straight up. That's cheese. If you want to attack what the defense is giving you, there's multiple ways to do that. You can't just call one route and say, well, if you're not going to call the defense, I'm just going to run this route over and over again. You can attack the defense by running schemes to attack that part of the defense, but one route, that's excessive in my opinion. That's what I thought happened.
Inside, I would agree with you if it's every time there's man. Between the 20s or between the 20-yard line and the 10-yard line, but when 90% of the man coverage is called inside the 5-yard line, and it's a zero blitz to where you can't call a go route because the field is so tight.
No,
and
I agree with you, and I don't think that the zigs on the goal line were cheese. I never thought that part of it was cheese.
That's half the completions.
No. That's half the completions, right? But that's only a quarter of the calls. I mean, the calls you called 8, you only threw 4 because I had to cover the other ones. I mean, just because you don't throw it doesn't mean calling it isn't adding into the abuse of the route. Like,
just because it's called doesn't mean I was even looking there, though. Sometimes it was on the play.
Okay, so I'm going to jump in here.
That's the thing. You're hot routing them. So you hot routed against cover 2 one time. Cover 2 is supposed to beat zigs, and you still threw it.
I'm going to jump in here. We talked about this on the previous episode where we said, basically, in my opinion, I don't even bother remembering what Tiny's opinion is half the time. My opinion on the matter was that it was, if you're running the same concept over and over and over again, that's not all right, right? Defensively, too. Now, if you're going to come out here and you're going to put a drag on every single play, I'm like, you're not going to throw it every single play, but if you can't defend it, it's on the defense to stop it at this point. Zig is a little bit of a questionable area, gray area here for me, because it is one of those routes that it's really hard to defend. Man cover, it blows up man coverage. Zone coverage doesn't get flat enough to cover it 90% of the time. But at a given point, then you got to start using it. You got to be ready for it. You got to do something differently defensively
I
to cover
covered
it.
half of them. I covered half of the calls. I mean, that's as much as I could do. I mean, you can go back and watch the footage.
Here's my other point is, I don't know how many times Damon and I have played, maybe 10 plus times at this point for this cycle, maybe 5 last, something close to that. I don't know if I've had any games where I've really even thrown or called that many zigs. So it felt like in a vacuum, yes, there was more calls than there should have been, but history shows that, okay, it's one game. Like, it's not like Prime is known to throw a million zigs a game. It just so happened to be. In my head, I had kind of preconceived, well, 2 things. One, Grim, who's great with content, and we're going to miss him dearly with his running back reception chart. I think Gibbs had like 59 or 60 receptions. And I was like thinking about that going to a playoff game, like, dang, like that's kind of high. I wasn't proud of that. I'm like, dang, I need to get that down a little bit lower. And I could throw a swing route to Gibbs just about every play and juke, honest to God, juke and get a 10-yard honestly, every play. And I'm like, I kind of feel bad about that. And I knew Damon, he says he calls cover 2, but he doesn't call cover 2 hard flat. So his light blue, it just kind of trails off and it covers 15 yards downfield. So I could have hit, for me, it wasn't the route called. It was the spot of the field I was trying to attack. And unfortunately, like I said, the slot receiver, I wish I would have put him in more flats because I don't think it would have been as much of an issue. But like, if I play him again inside the red zone, it's for sure, it's going to be like zigs and drags because that's all you can call against instant zero blitz. And between the 20s, I'm going to try to do a better job of just calling flat routes to my slots or little smoke screens to the outside wide receiver until he hard flats. But that's been my only grievance with him is that one thing. And
I'll say that I agree. If a defense has given you something, you should attack it. But like I said, and like I've talked to you in DMs, I just think the use of one particular route was excessive in that game, in our playoff game. And I said to you in DMs, I said, which is this, what I love about SML is people try not to complain overly over the top in chat, and that's not
Right.
what I wanted to do.
And I respect you for that. You
I
didn't make
already
a
saw
scene.
that people were chirping at you in primer. I didn't want to add too much to it, so I thought, yeah, no, you can attest. I don't complain about anybody. I mean, you can attest to that. So I said I might as well just do this one thing, get it off my chest, and move on.
And I think you did that. Like, there's nothing wrong with what you did there. Again, what happened in SML chat? Your dog owner Dan comes in chat and kind of brings up old fire, and then it became kind of a public thing in the SML. But do you think, I see other players all the time, if they have 10 drag routes a game, do you think that needs to be charted?
I don't mean to interrupt, but I was about to say that as well.
No,
just real quick, like how many drags do you think are ran on average, just throughout
15.
plays, not hot routed, no, not hot routed. You got to think about that. It may not have been hot routes unless that's what you were looking for when you were looking at his plays.
No, I mean, Meach brought it up. I think the zig route in particular is a special case because it just doesn't get guarded by what's supposed to guard it that well. A drag is different. It's more a drag and a streak. I mean, those are common routes. They're going to be on almost every pass play, no matter if you hard routed or not. So I think it was just that it was the zig.
Were you shading underneath in that game?
No.
That's the thing, Brian.
I can't shade underneath with the JMO. I mean, that's the thing.
Not against you to begin with. You can't do that.
I can't shade against you underneath against JMO. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, it's tough to game plan against Prime's team. I think we hit on this somewhere, but Prime's got the 99 speed guy or 98, whatever he is. I don't care. And then he's got Gibbs, and then he's got Laporta, and underneath, and it's a really, really tough offense to scheme against.
Well, yeah, and I've played against Prime many times, and I've played similar defense against him, and he always attacked the weakness that I've given him in different ways. So I've never had an issue with it. That's just kind of what it comes down to.
I think typically like my running backs have like 8 catches a game against Damon because of that. And I kind of
Right. That's what I try to give Prime in our games, and our games are usually low scoring because
it just
of that.
it feels tacky when I look at my box score afterward and it's like, oh, Gibbs has got 9 catches. And then I'm like, well, Damon kind of didn't play underneath. And then it's like, oh, well, can't you do anything other than running back swing passes? Well, yeah, I could throw zigs.
But I've never said that to you, though.
I know, but then when I open up general content chat and then there's a likes it from the back award on and I didn't get it. Somebody QP got it, I think, but that's in the back of my mind is the thing where it's like I'm trying to balance, like, when someone gives you only certain spaces of field to throw to, you're trying to fit within the SML narrative and also try not to be cheesy. And like I said, if I could do it over again, Brown would have gone on a lot of flat routes. Gibbs would have gone on smoke screens outside, and we would probably throw a lot more, just swings to Gibbs. And I'll do that in the future until you change your defense, I guess. But I guess you just have to be okay with the reality that hey, if we play, Gibbs might have 8 catches a game, and if you're fine with that, then
No, I mean that. Like I said, I've never complained about it before, and that's what I've given you before. So that's fine with me.
I'm going to throw this out there, and I know that Tiny will agree with me. We're at a point in this league where we've all been around long enough, and even the guys have just been called up from the primer. Most of them have been in the primer for at least a decent amount of time. I don't know specifically how long Slice or Furf or whatever his name is was in there, but we're at this point where I think there's like beyond a gentleman's agreement at this point where it's up to you to, if you're going to allow me to run a drag route, a corner route, or whatever, all game, hit the seam all game, I think that's okay at this point because we're all on the same page about the defense has to stop it, and you can stop it, you're just choosing not to.
And that's the thing you got to do, which it sucks, but that's football. Like we were just talking about with that, are you playing against you, Prime? Like, you can't shade underneath, but what do you do at that point? I mean, if you had shade underneath to try to cover those zigs, I guess what do you do? Play the safety manually over the top to cover Jameson? I mean, there's decisions you got to make depending on gameplay. I mean, it's the same way in real life. I mean, I know it's a little different, like we talked about in the last episode, because it's a video game, but you've got to make a decision. Like, pick your poison. That's what they say all the time. And what do you do? Right?
Short of throwing two streaks 2 yards away from each other, I think there's really, how much more? As long as, like I said, don't run levels, don't run scissors all day. But other than that, what are you going to do?
No, it's a good point. It's tough, but yeah, no, I'll take some ownership in some of that. Like I had mentioned, I'll change up some of the stuff I do, and like I said, I go in chat and I see Dan saying, "Hey, Gibbs is a cheat code. He catches a pass and it's just 10 yards every time," and I kind of feel that way, and I kind of feel bad about doing it a little bit. But hey, if Damon's okay with it, I'll keep doing. I'm going to keep doing it, I guess. It's just one of those things.
No, that's what the defense game plan's for.
Dan is, I think, underappreciated as one of the biggest shit stirrers in this league. I don't think a lot of people consider him up there in that tier, but he's up there.
I think a lot of people. Hey man, he's a good guy, but he's the reason behind the Damon Prime rivalry.
Okay, all right, Tiny, got anything else for us?
I don't think so, man. But I think that was a good conversation. It doesn't sound like they really hate each other. I think Prime might really hate Dan. I just don't think he hates Damon.
I was kind of hoping we would end up with a little bit more fire here, but hey, it sounds like we worked it out. Look, as we record this, it is it's Sunday night. You guys are gonna play again very soon. It's looking to be the Tuesday to Thursday window here. So 2 to 4 days from now. And I think actually what we're going to do is we're going to release this episode the day we advance to that week that you play. Cool. I think it's week 7. It's week 8, sorry.
That'd be cool.
So we're going to release it then. So you guys are going to be listening to this, and these guys are going to be playing within the next 48 hours. And we're going to see what happens. We're going to see some zigs. We're going to see Gibbs get 15 catches. It's going to be fun.
Let's go.
All right, guys. Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Tiny, if you don't have anything else, I think we'll sign out.
We got an invite extended out to Dan. Just let him know. Okay.
Yeah, Dan, you wanna come on here? You wanna talk? DMs are open. Just shoot us a DM real quick, and we'll get you on here pretty quickly. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to Damon. Thanks to Prime. Thanks to Tiny, of course, as always. Fuck you, Tiny. We'll catch you in the next episode.